Hey everyone, welcome back to The Deep Dive, your one-stop shop for all things UPSC Current Affairs. You know the drill by now, but today we're diving deep into the news from February 15th, 2025.
And just to clarify, this is part one.
Of course, part one, got to keep you on your toes, ready for a rapid-fire round of all the need-to-know info. We'll be hitting some repeat topics, too.
Think of those as bonus revision sessions.
Exactly. Gotta love a little extra prep, right? And today's mix is a bit of everything, something for every UPSC aspirant out there. Speaking of exciting developments, let's start with the BrahMos NG missile. It's got its flight test scheduled for 2026.
And production kicks off in 2027-28.
So really just around the corner, what's got everyone so hyped about this next-gen BrahMos? What sets it apart, and what does it mean for India's defense strategy?
Well, it's a huge leap forward. BrahMos NG is lighter,
Okay.
smaller, and a lot more compact than its predecessor.
So more bang for your buck.
Exactly. But here's the real kicker. It's sleek enough to be fitted onto our Sukhoi 30, MKI, and Tejas LCA aircraft.
Wait, you're telling me we can launch this thing from the air?
You got it. It's a game changer for India's air-launched missile capabilities. Imagine the tactical advantage.
Okay, that's pretty impressive. But it's got to have more going for it than just air launch. What about its speed? Firepower?
Well, hold on to your pats because it clocks in at a blistering 3.5 Mach.
Wow.
And that's not all. It's got a homegrown seeker
Nice.
and an AESA radar system, making it super precise and really hard to detect.
Talk about stealthy. So we're not just keeping up with the competition, we're setting the pace.
Precisely. This is India taking the lead in missile technology and projecting its strength on the global stage.
Okay, I'm starting to see why everyone's so excited. Let's switch gear for a second and talk about something that'll pique the interest of all the brilliant minds out there prepping for their UPSC, the J.C. Bose grant. It was just launched by the Anandan National Research Foundation.
The ANRF.
Right, the ANRF. What's all the excited about? How's this grant different from the J.C. Bose Fellowship we already have?
This grant is like a supercharge for our top scientists and engineers.
So it's a step up.
It builds on the fellowship, but the focus is laser sharp on cutting-edge, groundbreaking research.
Okay, I'm with you.
And the funding is incredible. We're talking Rs 25 lakhs annually for 5 years.
That's seriously.
Plus, there's extra support for their institutions to cover overheads, allowing them to really focus on what matters.
That's huge. The ANRF is really stepping up to back our brightest minds, like they're saying, go out there and change the world. Now let's move on to something a bit more serious, something that's been in the news a lot lately. Article 356, President's Rule. It's a hot topic, especially with what's happening in Manipur.
Right.
Can you break down Article 356 for our listeners? Why is it so crucial for anyone aiming for the UPSC?
Basically, Article 356 gives the president power to take over a state's government if things get really shaky.
Okay, so it's like hitting the reset button.
In a way, yes. It's rooted in the Government of India Act of 1935, and it kicks in when the governor raises a red flag or the president themselves sees a major problem.
So it's not just a random decision, there's a process.
Exactly. It's a big deal and needs Parliament's approval, and there are time limits, too. You can't just impose it indefinitely.
Gotcha. But for those of us who aren't legal eagles, what does President's Rule actually look like in a state? How do things change?
Imagine the president stepping in to run the show,
Okay.
with the governor acting as their right hand.
Makes sense.
Parliament takes charge of passing state laws and managing the budget. It's a massive shift in power, and although it doesn't mess with citizens' basic rights directly,
Right.
it does change how things work in the state. The 44th Amendment made it a lot harder to misuse this power, though, and that's something you should definitely remember for your exams.
Now let's talk about something that affects us all, something that's on everyone's mind. Climate change. The new Climate Risk Index has some pretty sobering news for India.
It does.
Ranking is 6th among the top 10 countries most at risk from extreme weather events.
Yep, it's not looking good.
Can you unpack this for us? What makes India so vulnerable to these challenges?
The Climate Risk Index uses data on all sorts of extreme weather events and their impact pulling info from MDOT and the IMF.
Okay.
And the numbers are scary. India's faced a huge chunk of these events.
Like how much are we talking?
About 10% of global fatalities, and get this, a whopping $180 billion in losses over the past 3 decades.
Wow, that's a lot of damage. What kind of extreme weather events are we talking about? Any specific types we need to be aware of?
Over 400 events in the last 30 years. Floods, heat waves, and cyclones are the main culprits. Remember those devastating floods in 93, 98, and 2013?
Yeah, I do.
And those scorching heat waves in 02, 03, and 2015?
Right.
They're a clear sign that climate-related disasters are getting worse, both in how often they happen and how strong they are. It's a major threat to India, both in terms of lives lost and the economy.
Okay, let's take a break from the doom and gloom for a minute and explore something a little more out of this world space. I hear the Paris 2 spectrograph at the Mount Abu telescope has helped scientists discover a new sub-Saturn exoplanet. called TOI 6038AB. Tell me, what's so special about this Paris 2 spectrograph, and what exactly is a sub-Saturn exoplanet?
The Paris 2 is like the rock star of spectrographs.
Okay.
It boasts the highest resolution in all of Asia.
Wow. So what does it do?
It's designed to pick up the tiniest wobbles in starlight caused by planets orbiting other stars.
That's amazing.
And this requires incredible precision.
Right.
This time, it found something totally unique, a planet that doesn't exist in our solar system, a sub-Saturn. Basically, it's a gas giant bigger than Neptune but smaller than Jupiter.
So like a planetary middle child.
You could say that, and it helps us understand how planetary systems form and evolve beyond our little corner of the universe.
That's super cool. Now, back to Earth, in a more pressing matter, there's been an outbreak of Sudan Virus Disease in Uganda, a viral hemorrhagic fever that's similar to Ebola.
Right.
Can you give us the rundown on this disease? What should our listeners know about it?
It's a serious health threat.
Okay.
With symptoms like fever, terrible abdominal pain, and sometimes even bleeding that can be fatal. It spreads for contact with bodily fluids. And here's the kicker.
Yeah.
No approved treatments or vaccines yet. Early supportive care is the best we can do for now.
Okay, let's end on a positive note. How about a story that's a mix of history, agriculture, and a big fat price tag? An Ongole cow named Viatina 19 just sold for a record-breaking $4.82 million in Brazil. What's the deal with this Ongole breed? Why are they so sought after, even internationally?
Ongole cattle are originally from Andhra Pradesh, and they're in a league of their own: hardiness, disease resistance.
They sound tough.
Oh, they are. And they're triple purpose: draft, milk, and meat.
No kidding.
You can't miss them either. Glossy white coat, those distinctive horns. They're built for heavy work.
They sound like the ultimate bovine multitaskers. Okay, time to tackle a topic that might make some heads spin, but is essential for any UPSC hopeful taxes. The Income Tax Bill 2025 is bringing in this tax year concept.
It is.
Can you demystify it for us? What's the change and why is it happening?
Think of it as a cleanup operation.
Okay.
We're ditching that confusing assessment year and aligning everything with the financial year, April 1st to March 31st.
So it's more straightforward.
Exactly. Less confusion, more in line with global norms, and way easier to figure out advanced tax. No more head scratching, like income earned between April 1st, 2025 and March 31st, 2026 will be a tax year 2025-26.
Okay, I can see how that simplifies things. To wrap up part one of our deep dive, let's take a plunge into the ocean depths, literally. Researchers recently spotted a black sea devil fish in broad daylight, and that's not something you see every day. Tell us more about this creature. What makes it so unique?
The black sea devil, also called Melanocetus johnsoni, is like something out of a deep-sea horror movie.
Ooh.
Huge head, razor-sharp teeth,
Yikes.
and a bioluminescent lure dangling from its forehead to attract prey in the pitch-black ocean depths. It's a sight to behold.
That's definitely creepy. I'm getting chills just thinking about it. All right, future diplomats and policymakers, welcome back for round 2 of our February 15th, 2025 Current Affairs update. We just tackled some pretty heavy stuff like missile tech and climate change, so let's switch gears a bit and zoom in on something that's making waves on the global stage: BRICS.
It's more than just a catchy acronym.
Yeah.
BRICS is a group of nations with the potential to really shake up the world order as we know it.
So we're talking Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. I remember hearing about BRICS years ago. What's changed? And why should UPSC aspirants be paying extra attention to BRICS now?
Well, for one, South Africa joined the club back in 2010, making it the BRICS we know today.
Okay.
But more importantly, BRICS has gotten a lot more ambitious. It's not just about economics anymore. They're collaborating on political and security issues, even cultural exchanges. They're presenting a united front on the global stage.
So it's like a power block of emerging economies challenging the old guard.
Exactly. Think of it as a shift in the balance of power, a sign of the times.
That definitely sounds like a force to be reckoned with. But how is BRICS actually flexing its muscles on the world stage? Give us some concrete examples.
Just look at how much the group has expanded. In 2024, they welcomed Saudi Arabia, Iran, Ethiopia, the UAE, and Egypt.
Wow.
And just last month, Indonesia officially joined.
So they're getting bigger and bigger.
With these new members, BRICS now represents almost half the world's population.
Seriously.
And over 28% of global GDP.
Those are some serious numbers. It sounds like BRICS is on a mission to become a major player in global affairs. But is there a risk that a group this diverse might struggle to agree on things and achieve its goals?
That's a good question, and something a lot of analysts are debating. Bringing in oil giants like Saudi Arabia and Iran gives BRICS a lot of power in the energy market.
Right.
But it could also lead to disagreements on issues like climate change or regional conflicts.
Speaking of potential conflicts, there's been a lot of talk about tensions between BRICS and the U.S., especially regarding the idea of a common currency. Can you shed some light on that? Why is the U.S. so worried about a BRICS common currency?
Imagine a world where BRICS nations use their own currency for trade and financial transactions instead of relying on the US dollar.
That would be a big change.
That's the vision behind this idea, and it's sending shockwaves through the global financial system.
So it's all about challenging the dollar's dominance.
Exactly. The dollar being the world's reserve currency gives the US a lot of power, both economically and politically.
I see.
A BRICS common currency could chip away at that power, shifting the balance of influence. It's no surprise the U.S. is pushing back, even threatening 100% tariffs on imports from BRICS if they go ahead with it.
Wow, that's a high-stakes game. Okay, before we wrap up this part, let's circle back to a creature we met earlier, the Black Sea Devil.
Ah, yes, the anglerfish.
That creepy-looking deep-sea dweller. Well, turns out there's some good news for our friend. Despite its scary appearance and the harsh environment it lives in, the Black Sea Devil, or Melanoceus johnsoni to be precise, is not endangered. So those bioluminescent lures are safe for now.
It seems so. According to the IUCN Red List, the Black Sea Devil is classified as least concern, meaning its population is doing all right.
Welcome back, everyone. We're in the final stretch of our February 15th, 2025 Current Affairs Deep Dive, specifically for all you UPSC aspirants out there.
That's right.
We've covered a lot of ground today, from missiles to taxes to even a quick dip into the deep sea.
It has been quite a journey.
But before we wrap up, let's connect the dots and highlight the key takeaways for all of your UPSC preparations.
Sounds good.
It's not just about memorizing facts. It's about understanding why they matter, how they fit into the bigger picture.
Exactly.
So let's rewind back to India's defense scene. The BrahMos NG missile really stood out. What are the big implications of this tech for India's place on the world stage?
The BrahMos NG is a huge step forward for India's missile program.
Right.
Longer range, faster speeds, and it can be launched from the air, which is a big deal.
Definitely.
It makes India a serious contender and gives us a strong defense against any potential threats. Plus, it boosts our reputation in the global arms market.
We're not just players. We're becoming a major force.
That's the idea.
We also talked about the J.C. Bose grant, that awesome program designed to support cutting-edge research. What does this tell us about India's priorities, its vision for the future?
It shows that India is serious about becoming a global leader in science and technology.
Okay.
By backing our brightest minds and encouraging them to push the boundaries, we're setting the stage for innovation and economic growth.
It's investing in the future.
Exactly.
We also dug into Article 356, President's Rule, a constitutional power that always seems to be in the headlines. Why is this so important for UPSC aspirants, and what are the key things to remember?
Article 356 is crucial because it shows the balance of power between the central government and the states.
Right, that delicate balance.
You need to understand when it can be imposed, what it means for governing a state, and the safeguards to prevent its misuse.
It's about checks and balances.
Absolutely.
We then face the reality of climate change. The Climate Risk Index showed us that India is really vulnerable to extreme weather.
It did.
What's the message here for policymakers and for anyone taking the UPSC exam?
The Climate Risk Index is a wake-up call. We need solid climate action plans.
Yes.
For the UPSC, be ready to discuss how vulnerable India is to floods, heat waves, and other disasters. You should also be able to talk about ways to reduce the risks, adapt, and make India more resilient.
So it's not just about the problems, it's about solutions too.
Exactly.
And who could forget our little space adventure? We celebrated India's role in discovering that sub-Saturn exoplanet using the amazing Paris 2 spectrograph. What's the big takeaway from that?
It shows that India is a rising star in space exploration and scientific discovery.
We're reaching for the stars.
It also highlights how important international collaboration is as we try to unlock the secrets of the universe.
There's so much out there to explore.
Exactly.
And let's not forget the Sudan Virus Disease outbreak, a stark reminder that infectious diseases are still a threat. What lessons can we learn from this for global health and preparedness?
This outbreak shows how important it is to have strong systems to track diseases, respond quickly, and work together globally to tackle new health threats. We can't let our guard down.
So true. We need to stay vigilant and invest in finding treatments and vaccines.
Absolutely.
Even that story about the Ongole cow that sold for millions gave us some insight into how far Indian agriculture reaches and the value of our native breeds. It's amazing how seemingly random events can teach us so much.
Current Affairs is all about connecting the dots, seeing the bigger picture, and understanding how everything is linked.
Now, before we sign off, we want to leave you with one final thought to ponder. Remember, we discussed the rise of BRICS and how much it's expanded. Do you think this makes the alliance stronger or weaker? What are the good things and the challenges of bringing so many different nations together? Think about the economic, political, and geopolitical implications of this expansion and how it might reshape the world as we know it. Share your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe to The Deep Dive for more insightful analysis of current affairs. Until next time, happy studying and best of luck on your UPSC journey.